Alright, so this is the printer we're working on today. It is the M2040DN Kyocera. We are working on its fuser assembly. We're going to repair this fuser assembly for the paper jamming problem that it's got. So this problem is very similar to what we get in Brother monochrome laser printers. All the manufacturers have decided to go for this arrangement where you have a pressure roller here, and then in here, the black part of it is the fuser film. You can get in there, you can see that this film is flexible, like so. In your fuser unit, this film may be all torn up and broken. In that case, you'll need to buy a new film, which you can buy over on my website, fixitfastelectronics.com. But for this customer, they've got to it early. The printer is now paper jamming randomly, and it's also producing the smudge mark on the paper, the classic smudge mark. Also, if you have a look at the prints, you'll notice that they're not particularly, the fusing of the print on the paper is not particularly sharp and clear. It's got a bit of a sort of a blur to it if you look at it real close, and that's simply because this fuser film here is not rotating at the same speed that the driving roller, the pressure roller below, is driving everything to rotate. So when you start seeing blurry prints coming out of a monochrome laser printer in any of the modern ones, apart from the really cheap Brother, which use a classic fuser unit with a solid steel or aluminium tube pushing against a rubber roller. It's a far superior way to fuse toner onto paper, and it's also the cheapest way. So yeah, anyway, that's enough. So we've got to start by removing this metal cover. So we undo this screw here, this screw here, this screw over here, and this screw over here. And it's best to use the old-fashioned hand screwdriver. Avoid using electric-powered screwdrivers, as you risk the chance of ruining the thread that the screw goes in. If you strip the thread out, then you've created a huge problem for you. So manual screwdrivers are the way to go. And it's just simply a case of lifting the plate up, and that gives us access to the inner part of this. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to remove this bottom plate just to give us a clear view. It's up to you whether you remove this plate or not. I don't think it's actually necessary. I'm just doing it because this is actually the first time I've actually repaired one of these fuser assemblies in one of these printers. I've been avoiding these printers because I don't like them. So we pull this one out. Gives us clear access to the lower pressure roller. You see this lower pressure roller looks fantastic. It looks in really good condition. The upper film Looks like it's in really good condition, but of course the printer doesn't function normally for the customer. So next, what are we going to do? We might undo the pressure springs. So you basically have, the diffuser is basically two halves. You have your bottom half and you have your upper top half, and it's held together by these springs. So I'll do that, we can see it flex. So it's spring loaded, and there will be a hinge somewhere over here that it swings on. That's probably the hinge down there, I'd say. And we will more than likely have to take these side covers off before we can let it swing. Stand by, we'll just see if we can take this cover off. Okay, so for this left hand side we've got a screw right there that we've got to take out. Like so. And there is a screw hiding in that hole right there. So I'll take that screw out as well. There we go, that takes that cover off, and there will be two gears. This mechanism here that you've got to be careful not to lose, and this drive gear which goes in here as well. So this is part of some timing mechanism, obviously, that indicates that it's having a jam and that the paper is passing through the printer at a correct speed. So we go around to the other side oh so carefully, and we need to untangle. So this is the 240 or 120 volts depending on your region. We need to take these two clips out. That will release this cable, and then we can undo the screw that's in here. And I think there will be another screw down underneath. Yep, that's the screw right there. So we'll just get a flat blade for this one. Flat blade for this one. That releases that cable, and now we'll take the screws off. Take the bottom screw off. And then we should be able to take that plate off, I imagine. Yep. There will be more gears in there that we don't want to lose. And we've got to make sure that that comes out of the hole there. So yep, these gears can quite easily come out and get lost. A little bit of wear on it, and you can see here we've got a bit of nylon. We'll just grease that up with some silicone grease when we put it back together. And this looks like this is the pivot point for the top and the bottom unit. So we'll now move on to releasing the pressure on the springs. And we take that out. This one. And we'll then move on to the other one. Alright, so we pull this screw out over here. Try not to lose everything. Together. There it releases the pressure between the top half and the bottom half of this fuser assembly. Yeah, what's next on this thing? Looks like we'll have to take off this hinge over here. Alright, so we will move on and take this screw out over here. And you'll see that this screw is unlike any of the others. It has a very thin plate on it. And then the cover simply comes off. We'll do the same on the other side. And you'll notice as you're pulling this screw out, it will hit the gear that drives it. Okay, so the screw is blocked by this gear, so you have to pull the clip up here. Release this clip and then pull the fuser drive gear off, like so. This will then allow you to get this screw out. And then we can pull the locking plate off. Don't think we need to pull that all the way off. Let's pull it off that far. And that should be able to let us swing. So we can pull that bit off over here. Oh yeah, here we go. this gear's in the road. We don't want to lose that out of position. So that's now released the top half, and then we can simply lift it up. Carefully lift it up and out. Not to spin that around ever so gently. This bit here coming out. And this is the heater assembly, which is getting stuck on something. We must have an earthing lead. Oh no, we have a temperature sensor. Hang on a minute. My mistake. And we don't want to lose this gear. It goes back in there. So there is a thermistor temperature sensor in here. Which way will we take that out? I think we'll just undo that screw there to release that pressure. I'll just leave that screw in there, and then that should carefully. Can we just get that off? I'll need to take that screw out, so we'll get ourselves some pliers. And being very careful to not break that temperature sensor. These things are extremely fragile. Screw off the top. So there are two hair-size follicle conductors. If we have a look, if we can get in close. See one just here, right there. You break that, you break your fuser. You have to buy a new fuser. Or find an old fuser that you can substitute in your printer. So this is the lower roller now that we've separated the two halves. It has the drive mechanism over here, which makes this timing thing move. And the timing thing's interrupting this whole sensor here, photo sensor. Okay, so we need to put this over here. Now this is the problem child, this part. So this, we need to get inside this, and we need to lube it up as it's stalling. So I'll just clean up the area and give myself somewhere to work. Alright, so if we look at our heater assembly and film, it still moves quite freely, but it obviously has a problem when it's at 200 degrees Celsius. So if we turn this around, so all we got to do is undo this lead here so that we can create free access to separate everything. So there's a little clip on here. We got to push that clip down to release this. Okay. So that's the locking bit there that locks into the hole on the thermo switch. So we release that out. Then I think we're going to need, so we need to get this out, and this is in the road. So I think we have to pull this out here to release the pressure, and then the whole thing should slide leftways. I'll probably release this lead here as well, just to give it a bit of access. Because that's tied in with the plastic cover. So is there anywhere else up here locking? No, so this is the locking tab right here. This is what locks this plastic thing frame to the metal frame. So I'll just do this because I need two hands. Okay, so with one hand over here pushing this way, you then lift this tongue up. That releases the hole underneath, and then this whole unit just pulls leftways. Actually, we'll probably undo this lead as well on the thermo fuse. Alright, so I've got that one released, that one released, and now that should just, yep, there we go. And you've got locking tabs underneath here and under here. Oh no, it looks like we'll have to take this side off as well on this thermo fuse. We'll push that down. Like so. There we go. That releases that. And that gets us into here where we need to undo this screw over here and take this plate off, and then that should give us free access to the internals. So I'll just undo this now, two hands. Free. Got to be very careful not to break this heating lamp inside in here. Carefully turn it over on its back. Oh no, we've got to pull it even more apart. That's shocking. So we've got this locked into the side plate here, so this has got to come apart even further. So I guess we've got to undo